Did you know there are billion-dollar airports around the world that were built and then abandoned? Yep, massive high-tech facilities that were supposed to handle millions of passengers but now sit eerily empty. From runways with no planes to terminals filled with silence, these airports became some of the biggest financial disasters in aviation history. So, what went wrong, and why did they fail so badly? Stick around as we explore 8 ghost airports that cost billions but were never used. Ciudad Real Central Airport, Spain. Alright, picture this. You're in Spain, standing in front of a massive billion-dollar airport with gleaming glass terminals, state-of-the-art runways, and not a single soul in sight. No crowds, no flights, just silence. Sounds eerie, right? Welcome to Ciudad Real Central Airport, one of the most expensive ghost airports ever built. The vision? A bustling international hub that would take the load off Madrid's busy airport. The reality? A complete disaster. Opened in 2009 with an insane price tag of over 1 billion euros, the airport barely had any airlines interested. It was built in the middle of nowhere, about 200 kilometers from Madrid, making it inconvenient for travelers. And guess what? Less than 4 years after opening, it shut down. But here's the crazy part. The airport was put up for auction in 2015. And while you'd expect such a massive project to be worth a fortune, it was initially sold for just 10,000 euros, less than the price of a used car. Eventually it found a new owner, but to this day, it remains a cautionary tale of overambition, poor planning, and a colossal waste of taxpayer money. Would you visit a billion-dollar ghost airport just for fun? Let me know in the comments. Berlin-Brandenburg Airport, Germany. Alright, imagine you're flying to Berlin, expecting to land in Germany's brand new state-of-the-art airport. But instead, you land at an old crowded terminal. Why? Because Berlin-Brandenburg Airport was a disaster before it even opened. This airport was meant to be Germany's crown jewel of aviation, a modern hub designed to replace Berlin's outdated airports and handle 27 million passengers a year. Sounds impressive, right? But here's the jaw-dropping part. Construction started in 2006, with an opening date set for 2011. And yet, it didn't open until 2020. Yep, nearly a decade late. So what went wrong? Everything. A long list of engineering disasters, fire safety issues, corruption scandals, and financial mismanagement turned BER into a national embarrassment. The delays were so bad that the airport had to keep paying for staff and maintenance, even though it wasn't operating. Billions were wasted, and by the time it finally opened, it was already outdated compared to modern airports. Want to hear something even crazier? The airport is still struggling today, operating under capacity and facing financial losses. Some even argue it should have never opened at all. Would you trust an airport that took almost 15 years to get right? Let me know what you think. Mirabel International Airport, Canada. Imagine this. You're standing in the middle of a massive airport, one of the biggest in the world, but instead of hearing flight announcements, you hear nothing. No passengers, no bustling terminals, just an eerie silence. Welcome to Mirabel International Airport, a multi-billion-dollar ghost town. Built in 1975, Mirabel was meant to be the future of Canadian aviation, so big that it covered almost twice the size of New York City. Planners were so confident that they even predicted Montreal would outgrow its current airport within years. But guess what? That never happened. Instead, Mirabel failed spectacularly. Why? Well, for starters, it was located nearly 60 kilometers from downtown Montreal, making it inconvenient for travelers. To make things worse, airlines refused to move their international flights to Mirabel because the existing Dorval airport was much closer to the city. By the early 2000s, all passenger flights were gone, and the airport became nothing more than an empty shell. The craziest part? Billions were spent on an airport that was barely used. Eventually, Mirabel was abandoned, with most of it demolished in 2014. Today it's used as a movie set and a racing track, a bizarre fate for what was once supposed to be North America's next great aviation hub. Would you ever visit an airport that became a Hollywood film set? Let me know in the comments. Matala Rajapaksa International Airport, Sri Lanka. Alright, get this, an airport so empty and underused that it earned the title of World's Emptiest Airport. That's right, I'm talking about Matala Rajapaksa International Airport in Sri Lanka, a billion-dollar failure that barely sees any flights. Built in 2013 with an investment of nearly $210 million, this airport was part of a grand vision to boost tourism and economic growth in Sri Lanka. The problem? No one wanted to use it. The airport was located far from the capital city. In an area with almost no demand for international flights, airlines quickly realized that flying to Matala was financially unsustainable. And within a few years, most of them pulled out completely. And here's where it gets even crazier. Because the airport was sitting almost entirely empty, the government started renting it out for bizarre uses. At one point, the terminal was used as a rice storage facility. Yes, you heard that right, an international airport storing bags of rice instead of passengers. Today, Matala still exists, but it remains one of the most underused airports in the world. Some say it should just be shut down, while others believe it could still be revived. What do you think? Should they keep trying or just accept defeat? Drop your thoughts below. Castellón Costa Azahar Airport, Spain. Imagine cutting the ribbon on a brand new €150 million airport, cameras flashing, politicians smiling, and then realizing no airline wants to use it. That's exactly what happened with Castellón Costa Azahar Airport, a Spanish ghost airport that became a symbol of wasted money. Opened in 2011, this airport was supposed to boost tourism along Spain's eastern coast. The problem? There were no flights, no passengers, and no demand. They built an airport for tourists, but forgot to check if tourists even wanted to come. It stood completely empty for years, with its only visitors being curious travelers who came just to see a giant, unused airport. But here's where it gets even crazier. At one point, the airport became famous for having a massive statue of a local politician, the same guy who pushed for its construction. Imagine wasting millions on an airport and building a statue of yourself in front of it. For years, it was a complete joke, but eventually a few budget airlines started using it. Still, for an airport that cost millions to build, it never became the success Spain had hoped for. Would you ever visit a ghost airport just to take a selfie? Let me know in the comments. SDE Dove Airport, Israel. Now, here's an airport that had a long history but a strange ending. Stidov Airport in Tel Aviv. Unlike the other ghost airports on this list, SDE Dove was actually busy for decades. But in 2019 it suddenly shut down forever, leaving behind a hauntingly empty runway in the middle of a city. Built in 1938, SDE Dove was Israel's main domestic airport, connecting Tel Aviv to other parts of the country. It was small, but it was busy, handling hundreds of flights a day. So why was it shut down? Real estate. The land it sat on was worth billions, and the government decided to demolish the airport to make way for luxury apartments. Sounds simple, right? Well, not exactly. The airport's sudden closure caused chaos for travelers, especially for those who relied on it for quick flights between Tel Aviv and Eilat. Even after it closed, there were debates about whether it should have been saved. Some argued that Tel Aviv needed the airport, while others saw the real estate profits as more important. Today, all that's left of SDE Dove is an empty piece of land, waiting to be turned into expensive skyscrapers. Would you rather have an airport or luxury apartments? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Tiavia Airport, Samoa. Alright, imagine this. A brand new airport is built on a beautiful Pacific island, promising to boost tourism, create jobs, and open up new travel routes. But instead of welcoming travelers, it ends up abandoned before it even starts. Welcome to Tiavia Airport in Samoa, a project that went nowhere. Announced in 2018, Tiavia Airport was supposed to be Samoa's backup international airport. A plan that made sense considering natural disasters often disrupt flights at the main airport. The government poured millions into construction, but almost immediately, problems started piling up. First, the airport was built too close to the ocean, making it prone to flooding. Then came land disputes with local communities, slowing construction even more. By the time the government realized these issues, they had already spent millions, and the airport was still unfinished. Fast forward to today, Tiavia Airport is technically complete, but it hasn't seen a single commercial flight. It's just there, sitting empty with a perfectly good runway covered in overgrown grass. Some say it's still waiting for the right time to open, while others believe it's just another waste of money. What do you think? Should they keep trying, or is it time to move on? Let me know in the comments. Palmdale Regional Airport, USA. Now, here's an airport that was built with big dreams but ended up as one of America's biggest airport failures. Palmdale Regional Airport in California. It had everything going for it. Huge runways, a perfect location, and a vision to take pressure off Los Angeles International Airport. But instead of thriving, it completely flopped. The idea behind Palmdale was simple. Los Angeles was growing fast, and they needed another airport to handle the overflow. The government spent millions upgrading the airport, and at one point it even became part of Los Angeles World Airports. But here's the catch. No one wanted to use it. The biggest problem? It was too far from LA. Despite all the planning, airlines and passengers found zero reason to fly from Palmdale when they could just use LAX, Burbank, or Ontario airports instead. Commercial airlines tried and failed multiple times to make Palmdale work, but by 2008, all scheduled flights were gone. Today, the airport is mostly used by NASA and the military, but for commercial flights, it's a ghost town. Would you book a flight from a deserted airport just to avoid LA traffic? Let me know in the comments. And that's a wrap on the world's most expensive ghost airports. Crazy how billions can be spent on places that never take off, right? Which one shocked you the most? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this, hit that like button, subscribe to DwellScape, and turn on notifications for more mind-blowing stories about architecture, travel, and hidden places. See you in the next one. Imagine walking into a church made of solid gold, or standing beneath a temple that took centuries to complete. These aren't just places of worship. They're architectural marvels, worth billions. From ancient wonders hidden in jungles to futuristic megastructures, today we're diving into the world's most expensive churches ever built. The stories behind them? Mind-blowing. The price tags? Unbelievable. So, are you ready to explore these awe-inspiring monuments of faith and fortune? Let's get started. Masjid al-Haram. Alright, let's start big. And by big I mean the biggest Masjid al-Haram in Mecca, Saudi Arabia. Imagine a place so grand, so massive, that it holds the title of the most expensive religious structure in the world, not just by a little, by a jaw-dropping $100 billion. This isn't just any mosque, it's the holiest site in Islam surrounding the Kaaba, where millions of Muslims from around the globe gather for Hajj and Umrah every year. But here's the crazy part. Masjid al-Haram is in a constant state of expansion. It's like an ever-growing masterpiece with marble flooring, gold-plated details, high-tech cooling systems, and an interior that screams luxury. And let's talk about the logistics. The mosque can accommodate over 2.5 million worshippers at once. That's like filling up multiple stadiums at the same time. The infrastructure alone is mind-blowing. Escalators, tunnels, massive prayer halls, and the world's largest sound system to ensure every call to prayer is heard crystal clear. With each expansion, the cost keeps skyrocketing, making it the most financially ambitious religious project in history. But when faith, history, and architecture collide, you get a place that's literally priceless. Would you visit this masterpiece if given the chance? Harmandir Sahib. Now imagine walking into a temple where everything glows, not because of fancy lights, but because it's covered in pure gold. That's Harmandir Sahib, or as most people know it, the Golden Temple of Amritsar, India. This isn't just an ordinary religious site, it's a symbol of equality and peace. The temple's foundation was laid over 400 years ago, but here's what makes it mind-blowing today. It's coated in 750 kilograms of 24-karat gold. That's nearly a ton of gold, covering the domes, walls, and railings, making it one of the most valuable religious places on the planet. But there's more. The temple is surrounded by a holy pool, known as the Amrit Sarovar, where pilgrims take a dip, believing the waters have healing properties. The reflection of the temple on the water? Absolutely breathtaking. And here's something truly special. Inside, continuous prayer and music fill the air 24/7. But the best part? The Golden Temple operates the largest free community kitchen in the world, serving over 100,000 meals every single day, to anyone, regardless of religion, background, or status. A temple made of gold is impressive, but a place that feeds millions for free? That's priceless. Shwedagon Pagoda. Alright, picture this. A 99-meter-tall pagoda, completely covered in gold, standing proudly in the heart of Yangon, Myanmar. Now add thousands of diamonds and rubies shimmering in the sunlight. That's Shwedagon Pagoda, a temple so magnificent it's valued at an estimated $3 billion. This isn't just a Buddhist temple, it's the most sacred one in Myanmar. Legend says it holds 8 strands of Buddha's hair, making it a place of immense spiritual significance. But let's talk about the gold, because trust me, this isn't just a gold-plated temple. It's covered in solid gold sheets, each donated by devotees over centuries. Some say 60 tons of pure gold are layered onto its surface, and the cherry on top? A 76-carat diamond sits right at the tip of the pagoda's spire, sparkling like a beacon of faith. At sunrise and sunset, this temple turns into a golden fireball, reflecting the sky's colors in a surreal glow. It's almost hypnotizing. Monks, worshippers, and tourists alike gather here, walking barefoot around its base, feeling the sacred energy radiating from its golden walls. But here's the most jaw-dropping fact. No one truly knows how old this temple is. Some believe it's over 2,500 years old, making it one of the oldest and most valuable religious monuments ever built. Would you dare to climb its steps and witness this golden wonder in person? Notre Dame. Now let's take a trip to Paris. A city of love, art, and one of the most expensive cathedrals in the world. Notre Dame, standing tall since 1163, is more than just a church. It's a living piece of history. But did you know that after the devastating 2019 fire it became even more valuable? Over $1 billion was donated from around the world to rebuild it. Notre Dame is a masterpiece of Gothic architecture, with its towering spires, haunting gargoyles, and massive stained glass windows. Stepping inside feels like traveling back in time, with sunlight filtering through the famous rose window, casting colorful reflections on the stone walls. But let's talk about that fire. When flames engulfed the cathedral, people stood in tears, fearing they had lost this 800-year-old wonder forever. The iconic wooden spire collapsed, and for a moment, it seemed like Notre Dame would never rise again. But then, something incredible happened. The world came together. Donations flooded in, with billionaires, artists, and even everyday people contributing to its resurrection. And here's the twist. Because of the restoration, Notre Dame will be more advanced than ever, using cutting-edge technology to protect it for future generations. A tragedy turned into a triumph. When it officially reopens, will you be there to witness its second birth? St. Peter's Basilica. Now, if we're talking about churches that define luxury and power, there's no way we're skipping St. Peter's Basilica, the heart of the Vatican City, and the most important Catholic church in the world. But here's the crazy part, you can't even put a price on this place. Some estimate its value at billions, but with its history, treasures, and artistic masterpieces, it's literally priceless. Let's start with the size. This isn't just a church, it's a city within a city. The dome, designed by Michelangelo himself, the interior, packed with sculptures, paintings, and mosaics that could belong in the world's most prestigious museums. And let's not forget St. Peter's tomb, which sits right below the grand altar, making this place a pilgrimage site for millions. Then, there's the sheer amount of gold. From the ceilings to the altars, everything is gilded and adorned with lavish details. The Vatican doesn't hold back when it comes to grandeur. And the artwork? Raphael, Bernini, Michelangelo, the greatest artists in history, poured their genius into this building. Oh, and if you ever visit, prepare for one of the most breathtaking views of Rome from the top of the dome. Just be ready to climb 551 steps to get there. But trust me, the view is divine. Now tell me, if you had the chance to step into this legendary church, what's the first thing you'd do? La Sagrada Familia. Alright, picture this, a church so grand, so mind-bogglingly detailed that it's been under construction for more than 140 years, and it's still not finished. Welcome to La Sagrada Familia, the masterpiece of Antoni Gaudi, rising like a fairy tale castle in the heart of Barcelona, Spain. This isn't just a church, it's a work of art in motion. Every inch of it is filled with intricate sculptures, twisting towers, and mind-blowing stained glass that floods the interior with rainbow light. But here's the kicker. It's estimated to be worth $1 billion, and by the time it's completed, that number will be even higher. So why is it taking so long to finish? Well, Gaudi's vision was so complex and ahead of its time that modern architects are still trying to figure it out. Even today, high-tech construction methods and AI are being used to complete what Gaudi started in 1883. But here's the wildest part. It's set to be finished by 2026, exactly 100 years after Gaudi's death. Talk about a full-circle moment. Stepping inside feels like walking into a dream. Towering columns stretch like trees, and the ceiling looks like a starry sky frozen in stone. It's unlike any church in the world. Would you wait another decade to see it fully completed, or would you visit now and witness history in the making? Angkor Wat. Alright, imagine stumbling upon a hidden kingdom swallowed by the jungle where ancient stone towers stretch toward the sky. That's Angkor Wat, Cambodia's greatest treasure and one of the largest religious monuments on Earth. Built in the 12th century, this temple complex is not just breathtaking, It's estimated to be worth billions. Originally constructed as a Hindu temple, Angkor Wat later became a Buddhist sanctuary, blending two great civilizations into one mystical masterpiece. But here's the wild part. This isn't just one temple, it's a massive city covering over 400 acres. Inside, you'll find intricately carved walls, massive stone faces staring into eternity, and corridors that seem to go on forever. But what really makes Angkor Wat priceless is its mystery. Scientists are still uncovering hidden chambers, underground tunnels, and evidence that this site once housed over 1 million people. Some even believe it could have been the largest pre-industrial city in the world. And here's something truly mind-blowing. Unlike other ancient wonders, Angkor Wat has been in continuous use for nearly 900 years. Through wars, invasions, and time itself, it has stood strong, guarding its secrets. If you had the chance to explore this ancient jungle empire, would you go during sunrise when the temple turns into a golden mirage? Temple of Solomon. Now what if I told you someone rebuilt one of the most legendary temples in history, but modernized it? Welcome to the Temple of Solomon in Sao Paulo, Brazil, a massive $300 million project that brings ancient biblical architecture into the 21st century. This isn't just a church, it's a faith-powered megastructure. Built by the Universal Church of the Kingdom of God, this temple is an exact replica of the original Temple of Solomon from the Bible. But here's where it gets even crazier. They didn't just copy the design, they imported massive stone blocks from Israel to make it as authentic as possible. Standing at 180 feet tall, it's twice the height of the Christ the Redeemer statue in Rio. And stepping inside, it feels like walking into an ancient world. Massive golden menorahs, towering columns, and a main sanctuary that can hold over 10,000 worshippers at once. But what truly makes this temple one of the most expensive religious buildings ever is its attention to detail. Every element is designed to recreate the power and grandeur of biblical times, from the giant wooden doors to the hand-painted ceilings. It's a blend of history, faith, and modern engineering like no other. If you had the chance to visit a real-life recreation of one of the Bible's greatest lost wonders, would you step inside? And there you have it. The world's most expensive and breathtaking churches ever built. These aren't just places of worship, they're timeless masterpieces of art, history, and faith. Which one amazed you the most? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to DwellScape for more awe-inspiring architecture content. See you next time. What if I told you that not all buildings follow the rules of traditional architecture? Some structures look like they defy gravity, melt like illusions, or come straight out of a sci-fi movie. From dancing buildings to inverted pyramids, architects around the world have pushed the boundaries of design in the most mind-bending ways. Would you live in a house made of cardboard, or step inside a building that looks like it's about to collapse? Stick around, because these 7 bizarre buildings will completely change how you see architecture. Ready? Let's dive in. The Crooked House, Sopo, Poland. Have you ever seen a building that looks like it's straight out of a dream, or maybe a fever dream? Meet the Crooked House in Sopo, Poland, a structure that looks like reality itself is bending. Designed by architects Sotyński Zaleski and inspired by fairy tale illustrations, this building defies logic with its wavy, distorted exterior. It almost seems to melt into the ground like a Dali painting, making it one of the most photographed and mind-bending buildings in the world. Now, here's the crazy part. This isn't some whimsical theme park attraction, it's actually part of a shopping complex. Imagine walking inside and feeling like you've stepped into an alternate reality where the walls curve and the ceilings feel, well, a little off. While the exterior plays tricks on your eyes, the interior is surprisingly normal, until you look outside again and see the world warping around you. What makes this building even more fascinating is how it interacts with its surroundings. At night, when the lights glow through its twisted windows, the Crooked House transforms into something even more surreal. It feels like a place where fairy tales, cartoons, and the laws of physics had a wild party. And somehow, this was the result. Would you dare to step inside this distorted wonder, or would the illusion be too much to handle? Let me know what you think. Would you visit a place where reality seems to glitch? Habitat 67, Montreal, Canada. Imagine living inside a Lego-inspired futuristic village stacked high in the sky. That's exactly what Habitat 67 in Montreal looks like, a gravity-defying maze of concrete cubes, redefining how we think about urban living. Designed by the legendary Moshe Safdie in the 1960s, This architectural wonder was supposed to be the future of housing, a place where apartment life could still feel like living in a house. So, what's the big deal? Instead of boring, uniform apartment blocks, Habitat 67 is made up of 354 stacked concrete modules, each shifted and positioned uniquely to create natural light, airflow, and private terraces for every resident. The result? A floating, interconnected neighborhood that looks like something straight out of a sci-fi movie. But here's where it gets even cooler. This design wasn't just for looks. It was built for the Expo 67 World Fair as an experimental solution to the problem of dense urban living. Safdie wanted to blend the best of high-rise apartments with the open-air freedom of suburban homes. The interlocking units create hidden walkways, unexpected rooftop gardens, and secret little pockets of space, making every apartment feel one of a kind. Even today, over 50 years later, this place is still a major architectural landmark. But would you actually want to live here? It's a mix of brutalist concrete and futuristic design, but hey, it beats a plain old glass tower, right? Would you rather live in a traditional house or a mind-bending structure like this? Let me know. The Dancing House, Prague, Czech Republic. What if a building could dance? No, really, what if an actual structure looked like it was swaying to the rhythm of music? Welcome to the Dancing House in Prague, a building that throws all architectural rules out the window and replaces them with pure artistic movement. Designed by Frank Gehry and Vlado Milunik, this masterpiece was completed in 1996, and trust me, it does not look like your typical European building. While Prague is known for its historic Gothic and Baroque architecture, the Dancing House is like a rebellious artist crashing the party. Its design mimics a pair of dancers, with one leaning into the other as if lost in an elegant ballroom routine. No wonder locals nicknamed it Fred and Ginger, after the legendary dance duo Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. But here's the real kicker. This building isn't just about looking cool. It symbolizes the transformation of Prague after the fall of communism. The dynamic curves represent a new, free-flowing era, breaking away from rigid, uniform structures of the past. Inside, it's home to offices, a gallery, and a rooftop restaurant with jaw-dropping views of the city. But let's be honest, you'd probably spend more time just staring at it from the outside, trying to wrap your head around how a building can look like it's in the middle of a dance move. So, what do you think? Would you love to visit this dancing marvel, or does it make your brain hurt just looking at it? The Inverted Pyramid, Arizona, USA. A pyramid is supposed to have a strong, wide base and a narrow top, right? Well, not in Arizona. Meet the Inverted Pyramid, a building that flips logic upside down and somehow still manages to stand tall. Officially known as the Tempe Municipal Building, this structure was built in 1971, and instead of getting wider at the bottom, it expands at the top, defying every expectation of stability. It's like someone grabbed a normal pyramid, flipped it over, and just left it that way. But here's where things get even crazier. It's not just for show. The unique shape actually serves an environmental purpose. Since Tempe is blazing hot, the building's overhanging top shades the lower floors, keeping them cooler. This reduces energy costs while also creating a striking visual effect. Basically, it's not just weird, it's smart weird. And if you think that's all, check this out. The building's interior is designed to give the illusion that you're inside an upside-down pyramid. The windows angle inward, making you feel like the whole structure is floating above you. It's one of those places where you walk in feeling fine and leave questioning reality. So here's my question. Would you trust working inside an inverted pyramid, or does the whole thing feel like it's just one wrong move away from toppling over? The Cardboard Cathedral, Christchurch, New Zealand. What if I told you there's a massive cathedral made almost entirely out of cardboard? Sounds like a DIY project gone too far, right? But trust me, this is no ordinary cardboard box. It's an architectural masterpiece that stands as a symbol of hope and resilience in Christchurch, New Zealand. After the devastating 2011 earthquake destroyed the city's iconic Christchurch Cathedral, something needed to be done. Fast. That's when Shigeru Ban, a world-renowned architect known for using unconventional materials, stepped in. His idea? Build a temporary but sturdy cathedral using 96 cardboard tubes, along with timber and steel. And guess what? This temporary structure has lasted for over a decade and has become one of the most beloved landmarks in the city. Now if you're wondering, wait, isn't cardboard weak? Well, not this kind. These tubes are waterproof, fire-resistant, and incredibly durable. They form a stunning A-frame structure that stands 69 feet tall with colorful stained glass panels that give it a warm, ethereal glow when sunlight filters through. But here's what makes this place truly special. It's not just a church, it has hosted community events, concerts, and even art exhibitions, proving that great architecture isn't just about materials, it's about purpose. So tell me, would you feel safe inside a cardboard cathedral, or would you be side-eyeing the walls every time it rained? Rooftop remodeling, Volksstrasse, Vienna, Austria. Imagine walking through the charming historic streets of Vienna, surrounded by elegant 19th century buildings, and then suddenly, bam! You look up and see a futuristic alien-like structure exploding out of a rooftop. Welcome to Rooftop Remodeling Volksstrasse, a building that looks like a spaceship crash-landed onto a classical European building. Designed by Coop Himmelblau in 1988, this architectural rebel is all about breaking the rules. The firm specializes in deconstructivist architecture, meaning they love to create structures that look like they're in constant motion. Jagged, chaotic, and completely unexpected. This rooftop extension bursts out in sharp, angular steel and glass forms, looking more like a sci-fi set than an office space. But here's the real shocker. This isn't some fancy artist studio or tech lab. Nope, it's a law office. That's right, inside this mind-bending structure, lawyers are sitting at desks working on legal cases. Talk about a contrast. The whole point of this design was to challenge the strict, rigid nature of classical architecture by literally breaking out of it. The original structure remains untouched below, while the new addition seems to erupt like an architectural rebellion. So, what do you think? Does this wild rooftop design ruin the historic charm of Vienna? Or is it a genius masterpiece that proves old and new can coexist in the coolest way possible? Parc de la Villette, Folies, Paris, France. What if a park wasn't just a park, but an architectural playground designed to mess with your perception? Welcome to Parc de la Villette in Paris, a place where buildings don't look like buildings, and structures seem to exist purely to challenge your imagination. Designed by Bernard Tschumi in 1987, this park is home to 26 bizarre bright red structures, known as follies. And no, these aren't just random sculptures. They serve real purposes like information centers, rest areas, and exhibition spaces. But here's the fun part. None of them look like anything you'd expect. Some are giant cubes with missing pieces, others have twisting staircases leading to nowhere, and a few seem to be stacked in impossible ways like a surrealist painting. Why, you ask? Because this entire park was designed to be an experiment in space and movement. Tschumi wanted visitors to engage with the park differently each time they walk through it. The structures aren't there to blend in, they're there to make you stop and ask, what on earth am I looking at? And that's what makes this place so unique. Unlike traditional parks where everything is laid out neatly, Parc de la Villette plays with your expectations. It forces you to interact, explore, and even get a little lost in its maze of unexpected shapes and forms. So what do you think? Would you love to wander through this architectural wonderland, or would it leave you scratching your head wondering what kind of futuristic game you just stepped into? Architecture is more than just buildings. It's about challenging the impossible and redefining how we experience space. From dancing structures to gravity-defying wonders, these bizarre buildings prove that creativity has no limits. Which one amazed you the most? Let me know in the comments. And if you love exploring mind-blowing architecture and design, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more. This is DwellScape, and I'll see you in the next episode, where architecture meets the extraordinary.